All right, VV Nation, welcome to NVIDIA's earnings call. I will say it's a little bit different not having my best buddy in the world, Glenn, here with me. Always wish him the best. He's out in Hawaii right now. Don't blame him one bit. So I see a lot in the comments section. Well, first and foremost, my name is Ryan, obviously. Respond in the comment section with VV Nation. If you can hear me, you can see me, all that good stuff. But in the comment section, I'm hearing a little bit of confusion, especially if you're new to the market, you're not acquainted with earnings. Typically how it works with earnings, right? It's either before the bell or after the bell. In NVIDIA's case, it was after the bell, right? The numbers will come out. We saw, Snowflake came out. I think CRM, Salesforce came out. I saw that not too long ago. And then shortly after that, you'll get the earnings call. They don't have a YouTube channel. I saw that comment as well. You can always go to NVIDIA's Investors Relations page, which is exactly what we have up here. But it does not show you what NVIDIA is doing. So this live stream here, we will have NVIDIA on the chart. We'll give it analysis, things of that nature. John says, wow, 500 people on the chat. Don't people know Glenn is on vacation? Right? I know Glenn wishes you might check in. It's probably early morning there, if I had to guess, maybe around 9, 10 o'clock. All right, NVIDIA, we're going to get right to it. Before the earnings call comes on, it's at 5 o'clock. Ginseng will be doing that. And just a heads up, especially if you own AI, semiconductors, NVIDIA, obviously, other than the earnings call, if you really want to get some insight, another great resource, CNBC is doing a live interview with NVIDIA CEO, right? So that's at 7 o'clock Eastern time, so that's shortly after. So I see NVIDIA moving, right up until the after hours is over. But right now we saw, some volatility right as the numbers came out, but flat, right? I even said that, during the AMA, that selling calls, if you're a holder of NVIDIA and collecting these high premiums, that was the play, right? As we're seeing right now, not much movement. It's at 131 right now. Now let's get to it. Fourth quarter earnings. Let's see here. Here it is. Boom. Revenue. 39.33 billion was the estimate, right? Versus, was what came in. 38 was a billion. So beat on revenue as well. Earnings per share coming in at 0.89 cents compared to 84 cents, right? Now we all knew that. Well, we didn't know, but we all had a feeling NVIDIA was going to beat on these metrics, right? There's no surprise in these numbers at all. And that's why I'm not surprised the stock is just flat. It had a great, NVIDIA was looking more for a reason to go down than it was up, right? Well, we didn't get our reason to go down yet. We'll see how, the earnings call and his interview at 7 p.m. goes. But right now, the market is just kind of digesting the data. It's a phenomenal stock. And let's break it down a little bit here. Where was it? The sales, there it is. NVIDIA's revenue in quarter rose 78%, right? Full year, physical year revenue for NVIDIA rose 114% to $130 billion, right? For the physical year. That's huge, right? Now, we all know what it's about. It's about their AI data centers, and we're really going to get commentary from, 73% gross margins. That's what John says. It was a knockout report, right? There's no ifs, whats, or buts about that. It only makes me feel that NVIDIA is becoming more attractive, right? And I've been talking about this, especially if you're new to the channel, because trust me, we usually don't get, 700 people watching this at once. A couple hundred, but not 700. I know NVIDIA's hot. I'm going to tell you what we've been talking about. And if no one's been talking about this, look, descending channel, right? And we see the pennant formation, wedge formation here, the consolidation. It's right in the middle, right? Here's my level here, 129. For the bulls, I want to see NVIDIA open tomorrow above this 129 level. I don't even really care if it's flat, as long as it stays above the 129 level, right? If we do get a wild swing down, this is where we found level support before. This is where we, most recently, these lines have been here for a while, but, we got lucky last time. We got some skill there. The consolidation, right? This is where we could potentially, find a bottom. But I like what I'm seeing here. Higher swing low We're just waiting on a higher swing high, right? We're hoping that Nvidia or the earnings will give us some momentum for that. We shall see. Yes, in 10 minutes. Let's see here. What RT on Nvidia turned up today? What did RT do? Oh, so RT relative timing. John, great question here. This is a proprietary indicator for the short-term price trend. You can see the short-term price trend became unfavorable over the last few trading sessions, right? Let's go to 3 months. But now it's getting back above 1. So I do like what I see there, especially from a trading perspective. Now, yes, Linda, waiting, especially, I know most people watching this probably have them some NVIDIA, right? I'd be surprised if you're watching this and you don't own NVIDIA or at least some AI stock. If you're thinking about buying NVIDIA right now, I'd wait. I mean, after this earnings call, it's hard to justify not buying it right now. But we're just not seeing the optimism right now. And from a technical standpoint, you can see the descending channel here. I mean, 3 touches. If you want real confirmation, some great confirmation here, get above this trend line. We've got 3 rejections there. I wouldn't be surprised if we broke it at some point, and then ultimately, retested on that, right? See, NVIDIA is still the best stock on the market. I'm going to see here. Hedge funds are weird, doesn't make anything for the average investor. Buy today, buy tomorrow, and have patience. Christopher, I'm not going to argue that. NVIDIA, phenomenal stock, and I've talked about this on the channel before. Yeah, the days of multi-bagger opportunities, I'm not going to say it's not got a bag or two left into it. It's going to take some time with its market cap right now, but doesn't mean it's not a great stock, right? Yeah, it's not one of the speculative AI or semiconductor stocks that has the potential to tenfold, right? If it does, it's going to be a $30 trillion company, and it could probably do that, over the next few decades, depending on, a variety of factors. But it's just a safe play right now. That's what it comes down to. It's a safe play. Now, the only thing other than Nvidia, if you follow semiconductors, they are pretty cyclical in nature, right? So we shall see, but let's take a look here real quick. The valuation, right? We're valuing it just over $150. A great value play, right? Yeah, the technicals kind of mixed right now. I can make arguments on both sides. Let's be honest. Let's see here. No, Anadi, we don't talk about that too much on this channel. Why would you not buy it now if you are a buy and hold investor? Seth, that's a great question. Why would you not buy it now, right? It's going to be less about NVIDIA, more about the market, right? And you see I have this 129 level here, and that's why I was saying, I really want to see, and we're getting some momentum there. We're about to go back to intraday in just a second. We got about 7 minutes before we hear from the CEO himself. Now, we're at 131, about to be 132. As long as, the open and especially the close come tomorrow is above this 129, I think we are going to get that. But we're at the bottom of this pennant. So the easiest trading style for NVIDIA right now, as long as it stays above this trend line, we're sitting gravy, right? Let's not overthink it. As soon as it breaks this trend line, everyone is going to do the same thing, guessing when the bottom is in, right? Now, last time we did, these are clearly my levels. It worked out pretty well, right? We'll see what happens here. But yes, overall, NVIDIA, I like the results that I see. So let's go back into 1 day here. Okay, I'm not surprised that it's moving now that we're getting closer, right? And the reason why is because, like I said earlier today, we all, NVIDIA having a blowout earnings report is nothing new. Nothing new, right? The forecasted guidance is really what the investors want to focus on. I saw that guidance still very strong. We're going to get more insight on that in about 5 minutes here. We do have, actually, we'll click over here just in case something pops up. But yeah, so if you go, you have to register for it, but if you just go to NVIDIA Relations in the future, and most major companies, just go to their relations page. You can Google it, NVIDIA earnings call, look for the relations page, and then just register. You put in your email like I did, and then you'll have access to it, right? And that's how you, acquire, not just NVIDIA, but any major, not major, but any publicly traded company. It will be $5 cheaper soon. That's what Skyper says. DeepSeek numbers are caca. What do you think about buying NVDL? NVDL, It's just a more affordable option. Let's minimize this. And actually, let's scroll through here and see what the other semis are doing. But yeah, I mean, if you're bullish NVDA, then yeah, NVDA would be the logical choice. I'm going to get rid of value. All right, SMCI, lower than it was. I've mentioned this before. As long as the CEO mentions SMCI, preferably a partnership, growth in AI data centers, SMCI should play off the coattails of NVIDIA's earnings as well. Here we got Broadcom, also up slightly after the bell. TSM, moving pretty good here, 195 now. Here we got Micron, also up today at 98.40 after the bell. You see it dipped a little bit like some of the others, but now starting to move to the upside nicely. AMD also starting to rise here, now at 105. CRM, this list, I put semiconductors that probably going to move with NVIDIA as well some of the other big companies that reported earnings. CRM did report. Look at the gap down, but hey, filled that gap pretty well there. The buyers coming back in. Still lower than it was at market close, but not by much. I mean, much better than here. I didn't get the breakdown. I was focused on NVIDIA, setting this up with Joey, so I didn't get the breakdown. Here's Snow. This is the big winner so far today when it comes to earnings. Look at that. John bought AMD is too poopy for me. Yes, I don't blame you. It's not the time for AMD. But here's Snowflake, around 1.7. Oh, let me clear this out. I mean, that's a big move. Let's take it out here 6 months. Full body candlestick. We got this level of resistance here. If we stay above that, that is optimistic. But this is approaching for a new high potentially here. I see the prior high comes in 194. We're at 185 right now. If you haven't bought it already, if you haven't jumped in this thing already, probably wait for confirmation unless you're just ready for a wild ride. Otherwise, we'll take a look. NTAP, we'll take a look at that one in just a moment here. Here we got Intel. Let's see what it's doing after the bell. It is also higher than it was after close. We got ARM. ARM's jumping up quite nicely here. We see the big selling pressure here. Zoom in. But definitely higher than the close. Here we got IO&Q. This is the Quantum stock. No, Quantum. So Quantum is it's hype play. The momentum is just not there right now. And I'd be scared of most earnings report when it comes to Quantum because it's really just going to show that they're not making the money right now, right? IonQ just had a big pullback. Yes, it did. Let's go to 6 months. And this is not going to help that pullback here. Yep, it's going right into the levels I had. The bottom is 24.95, I believe somewhere in there. A zone. Treat it like a zone. We're getting close to that, right? 26.48. So just be careful. Sell rating on this position. I don't know, if you bought this, who knows when you bought it, but don't watch all your profits. Get washed away, or if you bought up here, don't let it become an emotional trade, please. Just have some patience, have some discipline, right? If you don't have the discipline, probably don't need to be getting into quantum stocks in the first place. Let's just be honest. All right, there we go. Put VectorVest. There we go. And the other one was NTAP. See what NTAP has done. NetApp down after the bell here, way undervalued, but not a lot of volume there. It's at 122 right now. Let's go look at a 6-month chart. Just a lot of consolidation. A lot of consolidation here. There's the bottom end of the channel, the consolidation around 112, the top end around 134. You're about $10 either way. Right in the middle of the channel. We're kind of playing a guessing game right now. Definitely take a look at the earnings report, see if there's some optimism there. But otherwise, wait for the breakout. Let the trade come to you, right? All right, well, let's take a look at NVIDIA, see what it's doing. There it goes. Now it's starting to go off to the races, right? If I go to 6 months, this is that trend line, right? This would be best case scenario and open above this downward trend line, right? If we're right on that trend line in the morning, I could be a little cautious, see what it does first thing in the morning. But I really want to get above this downward trend line. That's the confirmation I'm looking for. And it's just shy of 140. And right now it's at 135. So if you're looking to add some more to NVIDIA, if you didn't buy it this morning or over the last, several weeks. Oh, it looks like the call is beginning. Let me go ahead and pull that up. Hit that like button. Here we go. Can everybody hear the call? They cannot hear it. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NVIDIA's conference call for the fourth quarter of fiscal 2025. With me today from NVIDIA are Jensen Huang.
They're still doing the introduction. Joey's fixing it right now. It's about to start in just a moment.
Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. I'd like to remind you that our call is being webcast live on NVIDIA's Investor Relations
Nadi says
website.
he can hear it. Robert says turn up the volume a little bit.
Replay until the
We're getting
conference
yes
call
and no.
to discuss our financial results for the first quarter of fiscal 2026. The content of today's call is NVIDIA's property. It can't be reproduced or transcribed without prior written consent. During this call, we may make forward-looking statements based on current expectations. These are subject to a number of significant risks and uncertainties, and our actual results may differ materially. For discussion of factors that could affect our future financial results and business, please refer to the disclosure in today's earnings release.
Remember that rejection I was talking about at that channel line? That is not what I want to see.
And the reports that we may file on Form 10-K.
All right, Bobby says perfect. I'll be quiet.
Commission. All our statements are made as of today, February 26, 2025, based on information currently available to us. Except as required by law, we assume no obligation to update any such statements. During this call, we will discuss non-GAAP financial measures.
That 140.
You can find a reconciliation of these non-GAAP financial measures to GAAP financial measures in our CFO commentary, which is posted on our website. With that, let me turn the call over to Colette.
Thanks, Stuart. Q4 was another record quarter. Revenue of $39.3 billion was up 12% sequentially and up 78% year on year, and above our outlook of $37.5 billion. For fiscal 2025, revenue was $130.5 billion, up 114% from the prior year. Let's start with data center. Data center revenue for fiscal more than doubling from the prior year. In the fourth quarter, data center revenue of $35.6 billion was a record, up 16% sequentially and 93% year on year, as the Blackwell ramp commenced and Hopper 200 continued sequential growth. In Q4, Blackwell sales exceeded of Blackwell revenue to meet strong demand. This is the fastest product ramp in our company's history, unprecedented. Is in full gear across multiple configurations, and we are increasing supply quickly to meet expanding customer adoption. Our Q4 data center compute revenue jumped 18% sequentially and over 2x year on year. Customers are racing to scale infrastructure to train the next generation of cutting-edge models and unlock the next level of AI capabilities. With Blackwell, it will be common for these clusters to start with 100,000 GPUs or more. Shipments have already started. Post-training and model customization are fueling demand for NVIDIA infrastructure and software as developers and enterprises leverage techniques such as fine-tuning, reinforcement learning, and distillation to tailor models for domain-specific use cases. Hugging Face alone hosts over 90,000 derivatives created from the Llama Foundation model. The scale of post-training and model customization is massive and can collectively demand orders of magnitude more compute. Accelerating, driven by test time scaling and new reasoning models like OpenAI's O3, DeepSeek R1, and Grok 3. Long-thinking reasoning AI can require 100x more compute per task compared to one-shot inferences. Blackwell was architected for reasoning AI inference. Blackwell supercharges reasoning AI models with up to 25x higher token throughput and 20x lower cost versus Hopper 100. It is revolutionary. Transformer Engine is built for LLM and mixture of experts inference. And its NVLink domain delivers 14x the throughput of PCIe Gen 5, ensuring the response time, throughput, and cost efficiency needed to tackle the growing complexity of inference at scale. Companies across industries are tapping into NVIDIA's full-stack inference platform to boost performance and slash costs. Snap tripled inference throughput and cut costs by 66%, using NVIDIA TensorRT for its screenshot feature. Perplexity sees 435 million monthly queries and reduced its inference costs 3x with NVIDIA Triton Inference Server and TensorRT LLM.
That's important.
Microsoft Bing achieved a 5x speedup and major TCO savings for visual search across billions of images with NVIDIA TensorRT and acceleration libraries. Blackwell has great demand for inference. Many of the early GB200 deployments are earmarked for inference, a first for a new architecture. Blackwell addresses the entire AI market from pre-training, post-training to inference across clouds to on-premise to enterprise. CUDA's programmable architecture accelerates every AI model and over 4,400 applications, ensuring large infrastructure investments against obsolescence in rapidly evolving market. Our performance and pace of innovation is unmatched. We're driven to a 200x reduction in inference costs in just the last 2 years. We deliver the lowest TCO and the highest ROI. And full stack optimizations for NVIDIA and our large ecosystem, including 5.9 million developers, continuously improve our customers' economics. In Q4, large CSPs represented about half of our data center revenue, and these sales increased nearly 2x year on year. Large CSPs were some of the first to stand up Blackwell with Azure, GCP, AWS, and OCI, bringing GB200 systems to cloud regions around the world to meet surging customer demand for AI. Regional clouds hosting NVIDIA GPUs increased as a percentage of data center revenue, reflecting continued AI factory build-outs globally and rapidly rising demand for AI reasoning models and agents. CoreWeave launched a 100,000 GB200 cluster-based instance with NVLink Switch and Quantum 2 InfiniBand. Consumer internet revenue grew 3x year on year, driven by an expanding set of generative AI and deep learning use cases. These include recommender systems, vision language understanding, synthetic data generation search, and agentic AI. For example, xAI is adopting the GB200 to train and inference its next generation of Grok AI models. Meta's cutting-edge Andromeda advertising engine runs on NVIDIA's Grace Hopper superchip, serving vast quantities of ads across Instagram, Facebook applications. Andromeda harnesses Grace Hopper's fast interconnect and large memory to boost inference throughput by 3x, enhance ad personalization, and deliver meaningful jumps in monetization and ROI. Enterprise revenue increased nearly 2x year on the accelerating demand for model fine-tuning, RAG, and agentic AI workflows, and GPU accelerated data processing. We introduced NVIDIA Llama Nematron model family NIMs to help developers create and deploy AI agents across a range of applications, including customer support, fraud detection, and product supply chain and inventory management. Leading AI agent platform providers, including SAP and ServiceNow, are among the first to use new models. Healthcare leaders IQVIA, Illumina, and Mayo Clinic, as well as ARC Institute, are using NVIDIA AI to speed drug discovery, enhance genomic research, and pioneer advanced healthcare services with generative and agentic AI. As AI expands beyond the digital world, NVIDIA infrastructure and software platforms are increasingly being adopted to power robotics and physical AI development. One of the early and largest robotics applications in autonomous vehicles, where virtually every AV company is developing on NVIDIA in the data center, the car, or both. NVIDIA's automotive vertical revenue is expected to grow to approximately $5 billion this fiscal year. At CES, Hyundai Motor Group announced it is adopting NVIDIA technologies to accelerate AV and robotics development and smart factory initiatives. Vision transformers, self-supervised learning, multimodal sensor fusion, and high-fidelity simulation are driving breakthroughs in AV development. And we announced the NVIDIA Cosmos World Foundation Model Platform. Just as language foundation models have revolutionized language AI, Cosmos is a physical AI to revolutionize robotics. Leading robotics and automotive companies, including ride-sharing giant Uber,
the news
are among
is good.
The first to adopt
I'm talking about the
platform.
growth.
From a geographic perspective,
the auto
sequential
side.
growth in our data center revenue was strongest in the U.S., driven by the initial ramp of Blackwell. Countries across the globe are building their AI ecosystems, and demand for compute infrastructure is surging. France's €200 billion AI investment and the EU's €200 billion Invest AI initiative
large
offer a glimpse into the build-out.
France's investments, EU,
redefined global AI
in
infrastructure in the coming years. Now, as a percentage of total data center revenue, data center sales in China remained well below level. Absent any change in regulations, we believe that China's shipments will remain roughly at the current percentage. The market in China for data center solutions remains very competitive. We will continue to comply with export controls while serving our customers.
They're talking about the export controls with China.
Networking revenue declined 3% sequentially. Our networking attached to GPU compute systems is robust at over 75%. We are transitioning from small NVLink 8 with InfiniBand to large NVLink 72 with Spectrum-X. Increased and represents a major new growth sector. We expect networking to return to growth in Q1. AI requires a new class of networking. NVIDIA offers NVLink switch systems band for HPC supercomputers and Spectrum-X for Ethernet environments. Spectrum-X enhances the Ethernet for OCI, CoreWeave, and others are building large AI factories with Spectrum-X. The first Stargate Cisco announced integrating Spectrum-X into their networking portfolio to help enterprises build AI infrastructure. With its large enterprise footprint and global reach, Cisco will bring NVIDIA Ethernet to every industry. Now moving to gaming and AI PCs. Gaming revenue of $2.5 billion decreased 22% sequentially and 11% year-on-year. Full-year revenue of $11.4 billion increased 9% year-on-year, and demand remained strong throughout the holiday. However, Q4 shipments were impacted by supply constraints. We expect strong sequential growth in Q1 as supply increases. The new GeForce RTX 50 series desktop and laptop GPUs are here. Built for gamers, creators, and developers, they fuse AI and graphics, redefining visual computing.
It does sound like an AI
Powered by the
voice.
Blackwell architecture, 5th generation Tensor cores, and 4th generation RT cores, and featuring up to 3,400 AI TOPS. These GPUs deliver a 2x performance leap and new AI-driven rendering, including neural shaders, digital human technologies, geometry, and lighting. The new DLSS 4 boosts frame rates up to 8x with AI-driven frame generation, turning one rendered frame into 3. It also features the industry's first real-time application of transformer models, packing 2x more parameters.
So we're breaking that
and
downward
4x
trend
the
right now.
compute for unprecedented
Who
visual
thinks we open
fidelity.
tomorrow morning above
We also announced a wave of
135?
GeForce
Put a 1 in the
Blackwell
room if you
laptop
think we get to
GPUs
open above
with
135.
new NVIDIA Max-Q technology that extends
Put a
battery
2
life
if you think it's going
by
to be
up
below
to an incredible
135.
40%. These laptops will be available starting in March from the world's top manufacturers. Moving to our professional visualization business. Revenue of $511 million was
amongst
up
the crowd.
5% sequentially and 10% year-on-year. Full-year revenue
Okay,
of
now we're getting a lot more
$1.9
ones.
billion increased 21% year-on-year. Key industry verticals driving demand include automotive and healthcare. NVIDIA technologies and generative AI are reshaping design, engineering, and simulation workloads. Increasingly, these technologies
Well, Ethan, it's not the end of the world if you buy
Cadence and
134
Siemens
by any means.
fueling demand for NVIDIA RTX
We're only down about $1 right now,
workstations.
at most.
Now moving to automotive. Revenue was a record $570 million, up 27% sequentially and up 103% year-on-year. Full-year revenue of $1.7 billion increased 55% year-on-year.
You see this upper
Strong
wick here?
growth was driven by the
Those of you just
continued
joined,
ramp in
see
autonomous
that?
vehicles,
140?
including cars and robotaxis.
I've been talking about this all day.
At CES, we announced Toyota,
That upper wick,
the
140
world's
right
largest
here, right at this
automaker,
trend line,
will
right? You
build
got
its
clear
next-generation
rejection.
vehicles on NVIDIA Orin,
If you're not
running
in
the
NVIDIA yet, my
safety-certified
confirmation is
NVIDIA
going to be
Drive OS.
above this
We
trend
announced
line. I want to
Aurora
break
and
that.
Continental will deploy driverless trucks at scale powered by NVIDIA Drive 4.
Because that is a clear rejection
Finally,
at that level
our
right there.
end-to-end autonomous vehicle
I know it's
platform,
after
NVIDIA
hours. I
Drive
know it's earnings,
Hyperion,
but that's
has
just random. It's
passed
140 right
industry
at that trend
safety
line.
assessments by Husud and Hu Ryland, two of the industry's foremost authorities for automotive-grade safety and cybersecurity. NVIDIA is the first AV platform to receive a comprehensive set of third-party assessments. Okay, moving to the rest of the P&L. GAAP gross margins was 73%, and non-GAAP gross margins was 73.5%, down sequentially as expected with our first deliveries of the Blackwell architecture. As discussed last quarter, Blackwell is a customizable AI infrastructure with several different types of NVIDIA build chips, multiple networking options, and for air and liquid-cooled data center. We exceeded our expectations in Q4 in ramping Blackwell, increasing system availability, providing several configurations to our customers. As Blackwell ramps, we expect gross margins to be in the low 70s. We are focused on expediting the manufacturing of Blackwell systems to meet strong customer demand as they race to build out Blackwell infrastructure. When fully ramped, we have many opportunities to improve the cost, and gross margin will improve and return to the mid-70s late this fiscal year. Sequentially, GAAP operating expenses were up 9% and non-GAAP operating expenses were 11%, reflecting higher engineering development costs and higher compute and infrastructure costs for new product introductions. In Q4, we returned $8.1 billion to shareholders in the form of share repurchases and cash dividends. Let me turn to the outlook in the first quarter. Total revenue is expected to be $43 billion, plus or minus 2%. Continuing with its strong demand, we expect a significant ramp of Blackwell in Q1. We expect sequential growth in both data center and gaming. Within data center, we expect sequential growth from both compute
Staying
and networking.
above this trend line here.
GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be
the support at the 200-day moving average. You saw a nice support there. Follow through with earnings today.
Plus or minus 50
I do like what I
points.
see here.
GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses are expected to be approximately $5.2 billion and $3.6 billion, respectively. We expect full year, fiscal year 26 operating expenses to be in the mid-30s.
I think,
GAAP
NVIDIA
and
is going to keep
non-GAAP
moving.
other incoming expenses
right
are
up,
expected to
even
be an
through
income of
the CNBC
approximately
interview as well. So it's
$400
gonna keep
million.
moving the rest of the
Excluding
season.
gains and losses from non-marketable and publicly held equity securities. GAAP and non-GAAP tax rates are expected to be 17% plus or minus 1%, excluding any discrete items. Further financial details are included in the CFO commentary and other information available on our IR website, including a new financial information AI agent. In closing, let me highlight upcoming events for the financial community. We will be at the TD Cowen Healthcare Conference in Boston on March 3rd, and at the Morgan Stanley Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference in San Francisco.
Jerry, definitely
on
focus
5th.
on the chart, always.
Please join us for our annual GTC conference starting Monday, March 17th in San Jose, California. Jensen will deliver a news-packed keynote on March 18th, and we will host a Q&A session for our financial analysts the next day, March 19th. We look forward to seeing you at these events.
Oh, that's my birthday. March
Our
19th.
earnings call to discuss the results for our first quarter of fiscal 2026 is scheduled for May 28th. We're going to open up the call, operator, to questions. If you could start that would be great.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, please press star, then the
Here,
number
got the
1 on
questions.
your telephone keypad.
The breakdown was nice,
I
pretty
also ask
optimistic.
that you please limit yourself to one
big things
question.
with automotive,
For any additional questions,
revenue
please
growth there.
re-queue.
The only
And your
concern,
first question
really when that
comes
concerned
from
China,
CJ
they're just
Muse
expecting
with Cantor
flat.
Fitzgerald.
Obviously, the
Please go
export
ahead.
controls.
Yeah, good afternoon.
But I
Thank you
think
for taking the
Europe's
question.
investment's
I
really
guess,
going to offset that anyways.
For me, Jensen, as test-time compute and reinforcement learning show such promise, we're clear. What does this mean for the potential future of potentially inference-dedicated clusters, and how do you think about the overall impact to NVIDIA and your customers? Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, CJ. There are now multiple scaling laws. And that's going to continue to scale because we have multimodality. We have data that came from reasoning that are now used to do pre-training. And then the second is post-training scaling law. Using reinforcement learning human feedback, reinforcement learning AI feedback, reinforcement learning.
Yep, here's Johnny.
Verifiable rewards.
This is Jensen Hong.
The amount of computation you use for post-training is actually higher than pre-training. And it's kind of...
You would think he'd have a better phone for being one of the richest men on the planet.
AI models are basically generating tokens to train AI models. And that's post-training. And the third part, this is the part that you mentioned, is test-time compute or reasoning, long thinking, inference scaling. They're all basically the same ideas. And there you have chain of thought.
Inference, reasoning. That's the
search.
next level of AI.
Tokens generated, the amount of inference compute needed is already 100 times more than the one-shot example, which models in the beginning, and that's just the beginning. This is just the beginning. The idea that the next generation could have thousands.
You got to have real time, Mary, or
even
intraday. We'll have it as well.
Extremely.
And just make sure you go to tools.
And
use extended hours.
Simulation-based and search-based models that could be hundreds of
As long as you got the 15-minute delay or the real time, you'll get this.
More compute than today is in our future. And so
well, right back at you. Are you surprised that Nvidia beat earnings? Blew it out of the water? I don't think anyone is.
Some of the models are auto-regressive.
That's why I don't think it's moving like it is. And market sentiment. That's
the times you want your data center to have disaggregated inference. Sometimes it's compacted. What is the best configuration of a data center, which is the reason why NVIDIA's architecture is so popular.
John, we could all use some reasoning, some better reasoning.
We are great at training. The vast majority of our compute today is actually inference, and Blackwell takes all of that to a new level. We designed Blackwell with the idea of reasoning models in mind. And
the big moves are going to be tomorrow, and there's not a lot of liquidity. Again, the interview's at 7.
But what's really amazing is for long thinking, test time scaling, reasoning AI models.
I think from a value, from an earnings perspective, yes, NVIDIA wants to take off. But the technicals, the market, not giving it the push that we need right now.
Across the board. And when you have a data center that allows you to configure.
Correct, Craig. Yeah, not a lot of liquidity post-market right now. Let's take a look at the volume.
Doing more pre-training now, post-training now, or scaling out your inference. Our architecture is fungible and easy to use in all of those different ways. And so
that was the big volume.
In fact,
the
much more
before the end of the day.
Of a unified
Close up
architecture than ever
positions.
before.
Volume is ticking up.
Your next question comes from the line of Joe Moore
But still
with
nothing
JP
too
Morgan.
exceptional
Please
right
go
now.
ahead.
Morgan Stanley, actually, thank you. I wonder if you could talk about GB200. At CES, you sort of talked about the complexity of the rack-level systems and the challenges you have. And then, as you said in the prepared remarks, we've seen a lot of general availability. Where are you in terms of that ramp? Are there still bottlenecks to consider at a systems level above and beyond the chip level? And just, have you maintained your enthusiasm for the NVL72 platforms?
Well, I'm more enthusiastic today than I was at CES. And the reason for that is because we've shipped a lot more since CES. We have some 350 plants.
They reported. Snowflake's still up. That's the big winner today, it looks like.
1.5 million components that go into each one of the Blackwell racks. Grace Blackwell
CRM,
racks.
try to make a comeback.
It's extremely complicated.
Not feeling it.
And we successfully and incredibly ramped up Grace Blackwell, delivering some $11 billion in revenue.
Also under pressure?
We're going to have to continue to scale as demand is quite high and customers are anxious and impatient to get their Blackwell systems. You've probably seen on the web a fair number of celebrations about Grace
right
Blackwell.
Back at you talking about this volume, boy?
Our own engineering and our own design teams and software teams.
But even post-market still.
CoreWeave has now
there's no volume on that, so I'm not too worried.
Successful bring up of theirs. Microsoft has. Of course, OpenAI has.
A little bit of volume, not too
And you're
much.
starting to see many come online. And so I think the answer to your question is nothing is easy about what we're doing, but we're doing great, and all of our partners are doing great.
Your next question comes from the line of Vivek Arya with Bank of America Securities. Please go ahead.
Again, if you're tuning in,
Thank you for
revenue
taking my question.
beat.
Wouldn't
NVIDIA
you-
beat.
wouldn't mind confirming
38
if Q1
billion
is
was
the bottom
estimated,
for,
came in
gross
just over
margin?
39 billion.
And then,
Earnings per
Jensen,
share,
my question is for you.
89 cents compared to 84, so
What
it
is
beat on
on your
both ends.
dashboard to give you the confidence
All
that
the-
this strong
everything has been
demand can
positive so far.
sustain into next year? And has DeepSeek and whatever innovations they came up with, has that changed that view in any way?
Let alone the SPY. Let me show you something interesting here.
Let me first take the first part of the question there regarding the gross margin. During our Blackwell ramp, our gross margins will be in the low
Here's
70s.
Vu.
At this point, we are focusing on expediting our manufacturing. Expediting our manufacturing to make sure
Large cap
that we
Vanguard,
can
S&P
provide
500, right?
Customers as
Several
soon as possible.
touches.
Our Blackwell has fully ramped, and once it does, once
This
our
is the level
Blackwell
I'm looking
fully
at here
ramped,
for the large caps.
we can improve our cost and our gross margin. So we expect to probably be in the mid-70s later this year. You know, walking through what you heard Jensen speak about the systems and their complexity. They are customizable in some cases. They've got multiple networking options. They have liquid-cooled and water-cooled. So we know there is an opportunity for us to improve these gross margins going forward. But right now, we are going to focus on getting the manufacturing complete and to our customers as soon as possible.
We know several things, Vivek. We have a fairly good line of sight of the amount of capital investment that data centers are building out towards. We know that going forward, the vast majority of software is going to be based on machine learning. And so accelerated computing and generative AI, reasoning AI, are going to be the type of architecture you want in your data center.
Again, NVIDIA staying within the wedge here.
Forecasts and plans.
So if you're in it, you only stay above this trend line,
and we also
you're safe.
Know that there are many innovative, really exciting
At 200-day moving average, nice support level there yesterday.
New opportunities
coming off of
for
that.
developing the next breakthroughs in AI, whether it's agentic AIs, reasoning AIs, or physical AIs.
Physical
the number
AI.
of startups are still quite vibrant, and each one of them need a fair amount of computing infrastructure. And so I think the whether it's the near term signals or the midterm signals. Near-term signals, of course, are POs and forecasts and things like that. Midterm signals would be the level of infrastructure and capex scale out compared to previous years. And then the long-term signals has to do with the fact that we know fundamentally software has changed.
Max drawdown,
from
roughly.
hand coding that runs on CPUs to machine learning and AI-based software that runs on GPUs and accelerated computing systems. And so we have a fairly good sense that this is the future of software. And then maybe as you roll it out, another way to think about that is we've really only tapped
physical AI is like autonomous driving,
AI
robots,
and
things of that nature.
Search and
Tesla.
Some amount of consumer generative AI, advertising, recommenders, kind of the early days of software. The next wave's coming. Agentic AI for enterprise, physical AI for robotics, and sovereign AI as different regions build out their
Agentic and physical AI. If you think about ChatGPT, this is like
each one of these are barely off the ground.
A baby crawling right now compared to an athlete running. We're in the very infant stage of this AI technology. And think how many computer chips it took to get to that stage. To get to the next stages, it's going to take a lot more power. NVIDIA is well suited, and you're seeing the investments all over the world.
Your next question comes from the line of Harlan Sur with J.P. Morgan. Please go ahead.
J.P. Morgan.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my question. Your next generation Blackwell Ultra is set to launch in the second half of this year, in line with the team's annual product cadence. Jensen, can you help us understand the demand dynamics for Ultra, given that you'll still be ramping the current generation Blackwell solutions? How do your customers and the supply chain also manage the simultaneous ramps of these two products? And Is the team still on track to execute Blackwell Ultra in the second half of this year?
Blackwell Ultra. That'll get some news and some more enthusiasm with investors.
Ultra is second half. As you know, the first Blackwell was, we had a hiccup. That probably cost us a couple of months. We're fully recovered, of course. The team did an amazing job recovering. People helped us.
Now, if you're enjoying today's content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, especially if you're new to the channel. We do all kinds of stuff here, not just NVIDIA. Also, hit that like button.
You know, it's on an annual rhythm.
And let's show Glenn some love. Put Glenn in the comment section. Let's see Glenn's name flood that comment section. We love you, Glenn. We'll be back Monday, I believe.
All of that is coming online. We've been working with all of our.
There we got the first Glenn quote. There we go.
All of the necessary information, and we'll work with everybody to do
Glenn, we love you, buddy. We're thinking of you.
The proper transition. This time between Blackwell and Blackwell Ultra, the system architecture is exactly the same. It's a lot harder going from Hopper to Blackwell because we went from an NVLink 8 system to a
Mary said no smoking. You know he's smoking,
so
Mary.
Chassis,
probably on the beach right now, Chief.
The hardware, the power delivery, all of that had to change. This was quite a challenging transition. But the next transition will slot right in.
I don't know if Glenn's listening. We'll find out in the comment section.
Right in. We've also already revealed and been working very closely with all of our partners on the click after. All of our partners are getting up to speed on the transition of that, and so preparing for that transition. And again, we're going to provide a big, huge step up. And so come to GTC, and I'll talk to you about Blackwell Ultra, Vera Rubin, and then show you what's the one click after that. Really exciting new product. So come to GTC, please.
Your next question comes from the line of Timothy Arcuri with UBS. Please go ahead.
Thanks a lot. Jensen, we hear a lot about custom ASICs. Can you kind of speak to the balance between custom ASIC and merchant GPU? We hear about some of these heterogeneous superclusters to use both GPU and ASIC. Is that something customers are planning on building, or will these infrastructures remain fairly distinct? Thanks.
In some ways, completely different. In some areas, we intersect. We're different in several ways. One, NVIDIA's architecture is general. You know, whether you've optimized for autoregressive models or diffusion-based models, or we're great at all of it. We're great at all of it because our software stack is our architecture is flexible. Our software stack ecosystem is so rich that we're the initial target of, most exciting innovations in algorithms. And
we're not talking about
by
X-Row.
definition, we're much more
it's a dog with fleas.
Than narrow.
There's one trade that I talked about that
really
a couple months ago. Short-lived.
From data processing, the curation of the training data.
I did see some news with Volkswagen. I think it was Volkswagen.
The training of the data, of course, to reinforcement learning used in post-training, all the way to inference.
That's the comment right there. Sideways action. Other than NVIDIA, it's all about PCE data. Friday, inflation. That is the biggest concern with market right now. Inflation coming back. So we don't have the ability to just lower interest rates like we did before.
And a great initial target for anybody who's starting up a new company. And so we're everywhere. And then the third thing I would say is that our performance and our rhythm is so incredibly fast.
He is cool as a cucumber, though.
That these data centers are always fixed in size. They're fixed in size or they're fixed in power. And if
no, John, we're not starting that room.
Is anywhere from 2x to 4x to 8x, which is not
the stock
unusual.
Will skyrocket if that came out.
It translates directly to revenues. And so if you have a 100-megawatt data center, if the performance or the throughput in that 100 megawatts...
John, maybe we say they're coming out with a AI or intelligent coil,
higher,
right?
Your revenues for that gigawatt data center is 8 times higher.
All right.
The reason that is so different than data centers of the past is because AI factories are directly monetizable through its tokens generated. And so the token throughput of our architecture being so incredibly fast is just incredibly valuable to all of the companies that are building these things for revenue generation reasons and capturing the fast ROIs. And so I think the third reason is performance. And then
tomorrow, Edward, I'm going to say it's probably flat.
The software
Again,
stack is
we might get a little
hard.
optimism in the morning. But I'm
Building
thinking in the
is
afternoon,
no
the
different
market's
than
going to get a
what we
little
do
nervous
to
as we
build
get
a new
PCE
architecture.
data come
And
Friday.
the ecosystem that sits on top of our
Let's look at
architecture
the SPY.
is 10 times more complex today than it was 2 years ago. And that's fairly obvious because the amount of software that the world is building on top of our architecture is growing exponentially, and AI is advancing very quickly.
That's our
So
level of
bringing that
support,
whole
trying to come off of
ecosystem
it.
on top of multiple
Still below the
chips is
20-day
hard.
EMA.
And so I would say that those 4 reasons, and then finally I will say this.
Yeah, I think we're going to stay pretty flat.
Designed doesn't mean it gets deployed. And you've seen this, over and over
See the
again. There are a lot
doji
of chips
candlestick
that get
here,
built.
indecision.
But when the time comes, a business decision has to be made.
Yeah, Seth, that's what
And
I'm
that
thinking.
business decision is about deploying.
And Linda,
a new
yes, that
engine,
if you want
a
to
new
play it safe,
processor into
wait
a
till
limited
PCE
AI
data comes out
factory
Friday, right?
inside
If you didn't buy before NVIDIA, you
our-
didn't want to participate in that, hey, I get
time.
it. Jumping in
And
tomorrow,
our
probably not a whole lot
technology,
going to happen.
Is
I think more optimism
not-
in the morning, a
not
little bit
only
more pessimism in the
more
afternoon.
advanced,
PCE
more
data,
performant,
that's what you need to focus
it
on.
has much better software.
All of our market
capability,
timing
and very
signals are
importantly,
down.
our
There's
ability
not
to
a green
deploy
light. There's
is
one green light,
lightning
February
fast.
18th.
And
We do
so
not advocate buying.
These things are not for
If you
the
jump
faint
in
of
right
heart, as
now,
everybody
if
knows
you jump
now.
in tomorrow before
And so there's a
PCE
lot of
data,
different reasons why
all of the odds are
why
against
we
you
do
right
well.
now, right? You might get lucky with a good PCE report and the market could take off. I
Your
don't
next
think
question
the
comes from
reward
the
is
line
worth
of
that
Ben Reitz
risk.
with Melius Research. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Ben Reitz is here. Hey, thanks a lot for the question. Hey, Jensen, it's a geography-related question. You did a great job.
Edward, I'm going to
explaining
answer
some
your
of
question
the,
in just a second.
Demand underlying, factors here on the strength. But U.S. was up about $5 billion or so sequentially. And I think, there is a concern about whether U.S. can pick up the slack if there's regulations towards other geographies. And I was just wondering, as we go throughout the year, if this kind of surge in the U.S. continues and it's going to be whether that's okay, and if that underlies your growth rate, how can you keep growing so fast with this mix shift towards the U.S.? Your guidance looks like China is probably up sequentially, so just wondering if you could go through that dynamic and maybe Colette can weigh in. Thanks a lot.
China is approximately the same percentage as Q4 and as previous quarters. It's about half of what it was before the export control, but it's approximately the same in percentage. With respect to geographies, the takeaway is that AI is software. It's modern software. It's incredible modern software, but it's modern software. And AI has gone mainstream.
All right, are we done with this call? We're going to talk about PCE inflation for just a minute, a couple minutes, and we're going to head out because I see the, people are leaving. And I know the big interviews at 7 on CNBC. Definitely make sure you watch that. That's going to really, give you some insight there. But we're going to talk about PCE data for just a second here. All right, Kiwi says done. Put a 1 if we're done. We want to talk about CPI before you guys get some food, have dinner, whatever it may be, before the 7 p.m. call. All right, yeah, we're done. Did you stop it, Joey? Thank you, sir. Joey's the man. All right, so this is what I pulled up. If you don't know what PCE data is in the first place, let's just pull this over here. We'll just give you a little... And this is actually a pretty good definition, right? The difference between CPI and PCE price index, right? Most of you guys are probably familiar with CPI, right? That's usually what gets the headlines. But PCE is very important, and the Federal Reserve looks at it, right? You see, look, Federal Reserve coming up right below it. So the CPI reflects out-of-pocket expenditures of all urban households, right? While the PCE, price index, also includes goods and services purchased on behalf of households, right? So just give you a sense, it's personal consumption expenditures. PCE includes a measure of consumer spending on goods and services among households in the U.S. The PCE is used as a mechanism to gauge how much earned income of households is being spent, right, on current consumption. Look at it as like a ratio, right? You spend this much, you only make this amount of money, right? So, yes, the Fed loves PCE. I know it doesn't get the news and the market hype like CPI does. But if you watch my videos, and since now that you got a little bit better at what PCE is, we don't track PCE here. You can go into you just Google it. There's plenty of places to track it. But if we go to market climate, this is my concern with inflation, right? This is the inflation chart I use. I treat it just like any other stock I would look at, right? We got on the last 5 years. Here's the channel. We're watching about this channel. We got the breakout to the downside of this channel. Found my level of support here, right? The yellow line, that is the goal, the target. What are we doing right now? The last few months, we're moving away from the Fed target, right? They're not talking about raising interest rates right now. But look, once we get back into this channel, and especially if we break out to the upside of this channel, because see what happens? It ran away pretty quickly, right? I don't think the Federal Reserve wants to be late to this party this time. They got enough flack for it last time. So, again, interest rate hikes, they are a weapon of the Federal Reserve, right? This is the support level I had. Coming off this, coming off this high, that touch, and then we got several touch, consolidation. But yeah, this is where I had the support level. Came in right around it. But it's been on the rise the last few months, right? That is the concern, right? We see it was, if I use a date line here, we were so close to that target, 2.4. But Glenn and I said that the last stretch would be the hardest, right? And it's proving out that might be the case. Because you see, since October, each report, November on the rise, December on the rise, January on the rise, February on the rise, right? Now we're getting back into this channel. And obviously, I don't see it slowing down right now, just because I could see, are you going to get back on for the interview tonight? No, Seth, I will not be, we'll be wrapping this up here in just a minute. We talked about NVIDIA, but I get that the earnings was phenomenal. The sales growth rate, all that stuff looked good, right? That's market sentiment, right? For example, if you ever look, let's go to 5 years. During this rally, right, the CPI surge, right? How does the Federal Reserve combat against inflation? Rising interest rates, right? So if inflation's on the rise, that tells me that the possibility of interest rates will go up, right? Well, if interest rates are going up, and theoretically if they do, that'll just give more competition for the stock market, right? Especially with geopolitical concerns, all that good stuff. Nope, not slowing down. PCE is probably going to be above and market will be ugly. I know my Publix bill keeps going up. Linda, everything keeps going up. Inflation is the concern right now, and that's the only, that and geopolitical concerns. That's why I think, NVIDIA is not taking off. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But honestly, tomorrow I think will be optimism in the morning. We got NVIDIA, things of that nature. But the bears will come in. This is just me guessing, the second half of the day, just because they got PCE, right? First thing Friday morning. Now, I hope everyone, got some value out of this live stream. If you enjoyed this live stream, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel here, and then me and Glenn will definitely be doing, we always do NVIDIA. We usually do the big market caps, or, I think we might do like Palantir next time. If there are stocks that you're interested in us doing an earnings call that are coming up in the next few weeks, or just in general, put in those stock symbols. So that way after this live stream or when Glenn gets back, we can go through the comment section here and we can get a sense of what stocks you would be interested in, right? Let's see here, David, bear type market is up in the AM and down by the end of the day. Yes. That's very true, David. I'm an intraday trader, I'm a day trader. So I do see that here. All right, am I live in the morning? I will be back, it's Thursday, was it 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock tomorrow. I do have a video out, or no, tonight is Navigation Unisearch. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, or ProTrader and Unisearch. That's actually a good one. ProTrader and Unisearch is my favorite tool, but ProTrader is my favorite tool within Unisearch, especially if you're a trader, right? Because ProTrader lets you, filter the database on moving averages, Bollinger Bands, lets you get creative, right? So check that out. That video will be on YouTube in about 10 minutes. You'll probably get the alert for that. But tomorrow, 2 p.m., trending Thursday. And then next week will be back to usual programming. All right. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Wish everybody a wonderful and safe rest of the week. Just be careful. PCE data coming out Friday. I don't want NVIDIA to share the spotlight when there really is important data coming out Friday that everyone needs to pay attention to going forward. Yes, Glenn is the hero, and I will end on that note. Glenn, get back home safely, and everybody else, hopefully you made some money off the NVIDIA trade. I said earlier today, selling calls against NVIDIA, collecting this high premium, that was the play, and it looks like that is coming to fruition. As far as long-term price targets, I've said it last night, $170 probably within the next 6 months to a year. But again, inflation and interest rates are going to affect that. Everybody have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m.